I had my first chance this morning before I saw you to embody the love and presence and to show up as love and presence before I gave the message to the beautiful people working on my street that I'm going to speak on recording for the next 20 minutes. And even though I only spoke with them for 30 seconds, I feel like we've created more love today already. So I'm beyond grateful for all of you being here. It's an absolute honor that you're here to witness me and let me share some of my awareness and some of the findings. I started my journey in the business world, and it all started with me desperately trying to be normal, but it wasn't working. I always felt that the way things were done did not work for me. So it wasn't about what the business was doing necessarily, but how it was done. And that was the beginning of my journey of exploring what it is that I can contribute to the business world. And so about 7 years ago, when I moved to Australia with 2 small children, it was only natural for me to just focus on my own thing and start my own practice rather than try to find a job and be a mum first and foremost, but also spend a lot of time going inside and really listening to what my heart knew, to what my soul knew. And a very good friend of mine saw me one day and she said, we had a chat with her for about 30 minutes, and she told me, she said, I think you should be a leadership coach because that's what you're doing anyway. So here I am. And one of the things that I always knew is that the way leadership, we've been interpreting leadership as a business community for the last 50 years, does not work for us anymore. And we have to completely recreate and recalibrate of what that means, being a good leader. So to give you a point of view from which I'm looking at this topic, I will say this. What if we can look at leading human beings as an electromagnetic phenomenon? What if leadership is about electromagnetic phenomenon that it is? So if we think about it for a second, our bodies consist of billions of particles, millions of bacteria. There's, I don't know how many thousands of chemical reactions that are happening inside of us at all times, seamlessly communicating with all the parts of us to keep us alive. And yet, a lot of times we choose to take our cognition, which is like a shrinking tool, to shrink all this vastness of energy and information, this universe that we represent, into a tiny little space where we try to use feelings and emotions to describe that experience of life. And then we use our logic to try to consume it and communicate it with words. So just for a second, right? You take all of this and then you go, and because usually in the business world, we leave a lot of being human behind the brackets, and then we focus on the script. You know what I mean? And then we decide that if we exchange the scripts, then we have actually communicated something. Now, the funny thing is, everything is still communicating and exchanging, right? It's just a matter of whether we're aware of it or not. But this is what excites the hell out of me, is to be able to be with people and yet be aware of that exchange on the multitude of levels. And don't get me wrong, I'm one of these people who can literally receive an intellectual orgasm. Because sometimes when I'm talking to someone who's just this brilliant mind, and there's no wonder why I loved strategy so much, because you can create this sensational model or framework that is just like, I literally orgasm when I see some of those thinking, you know, and some of those like graphs or charts when you go, oh my God. And then there's like another thing, another detail that you see, or another aspect. Especially I love them when they're multidimensional, you know, when you can look at it from different angle, and it's like, you know, the parts, the relationship between the parts and the logic of it is like, it's so freaking beautiful. It's amazing. But my point is that a lot of us stop there. But I really want to see, and this is my dream and this is my vision, and I'm so thankful for you, my beautiful people, that you are here. Like, how did I get so lucky to pull you strong enough? Because I must have done it. And Kelly helped me with that, obviously. Every interaction and every exchange is a humongous exchange of information and energy. Humongous. Like, we impact each other all the time, whether we are aware of it or not. And my passion is becoming aware of what's actually being exchanged and created. So all of you, all of us, every human being is a freaking universe. So the fact that there's 30 people right here in this space, we're blending 30 universes together. My hands are shaking because I'm like, do you feel it? Just for a second, I feel like even with all of my training, all you can do really is just be in absolute fucking awe of what's happening right now. But see, the thing is, if I was left to my own devices, I would probably just sit there and be orgasmic 24/7 and not do anything else. But I know that there's a bigger, oh fuck, it's not bigger, bigger is not the word. There is a different aspect of our co-creation that we're bringing through. And this is why we're so passionate about conscious business, because I think all of us are very tired of the unconscious business, right? And so that's why we're having these conversations. And that's why it is beautiful to see how we all, being aware of the vastness, we bring our own approach and vision and framework and point of view to co-create the different business reality that we're co-creating. I'm gonna put some slides on to entertain you in a second. I'm gonna say they turned out completely different from what I've envisioned. But thank you, Kelly, for reminding about trust situation, because that's exactly what I had to do. I had to trust that this is what is going to be of contribution to you today, my beautiful people. So just bear with me, and we're going to look at the 3 aspects of the energetic leadership the way I look at it. So just sharing my screen. Oops, wait a minute. So how do I do it? I share my screen and then I present. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to do that. No. Ah, does everybody see that or not? You don't see the slides? Ah. Aha, there's another button. Oh, good. There we are. I'm finding it difficult to focus right now. I'm still kind of, I'm still a lot out there. Here we go. So leading human beings as an electromagnetic phenomenon. Point number one for me, or question number one, always for me, is how do I experience myself as an energy being? And all of this multi-dimensional electromagnetic field that every human being is what you're bringing into every interaction and into every situation, and that's your energetic presence, right? And I describe that unique quality of one's presence because we're always changing. It's a dynamic, ever-changing, living space. I call it an energetic signature. So when you walk into a room, you change something in that room, whether you're aware of it or not. So this is how I approach it. If I'm aware of my energetic signature and I consciously evolve with it, how can I ground it a little bit and how can I think about it? So first of all, it's the dimension. So what is my field frequency in terms of the quality of my vibe? So I guess the emotions, you can probably think of emotions if you're struggling a little bit right now. So lower vibrational emotions, like, you know, negative, whatever the negative emotions you can think of, that would be the lower vibe, and the positive emotions, the higher vibe. So find myself on that scale. The size of my field, because just a second ago I was like spreading myself over 30 universes, but I had to bring myself back into this room. So there's this dynamic, you know, how expanded or contracted you are. And again, it relates to the frequency because usually if it's a very, very low vibrational feeling, so usually when you're in fear, you're very shrunk. So I guess these two things, sometimes connected, sometimes not. But usually when you're, for example, very fearful, you shrunk. Usually when you're very loving, it means that you're expanded. But it doesn't necessarily have to be like that. Sometimes fear can be the size of the universe as well. And the third thing is, the third dimension is your intensity and magnetism. So when you walk into the room, does everybody drop what they're doing and look at you? Or they don't notice you? So that's the level of your magnetism that creates that. Okay. The second way of looking at it is, what's your flavor? So what are the key expressions that you're bringing into the room? You know, when my child walks into a room when something is wrong, he doesn't need to tell me anything. You read him right away. It's frustration, it's upset, it's, you know, pain. So what are the key expressions that you're bringing into the room? Or do you want to come into the room and light it up? Are you bringing ease and trust and possibility? Hey, different vibe. And then impact. So when I'm aware of my energetic signature, I choose to become aware of the impact that my presence is creating and how it's contributing to myself and to others. So once you've gotten a little bit more clarity about where you're at, you are a leader. Congratulations. There's other human beings around you. Might be your family, your community, your work colleagues. There's other energetic beings around us. We are living together on this planet. So how do we experience each other? And how do you experience others as a leader? So what does an energy leader should do? This is my mantra. I'm mastering my ability to perceive, receive, and integrate a wider range of energetic signatures. So the ability to hold space for everyone, regardless of what energy they're bringing in. Recognizing calls for healing in every situation. I mean, seriously, this is like my favorite thing. We can't help it, people, right? Just recognize it, be aware of it. You elevating the vibrations. You're expanding the space of possibilities. You're translating energetic messages. And you're innovating by continuously bringing in new vibrations, codes, downloads, and levels of awareness. I had a role as an innovation manager one time. I was completely unready. This was 20 years ago. It was absolute nonsense at the time, I thought. But I didn't look at innovation the way I look at it now. Because that's what innovation means. Is when you're bringing new vibrations forward, you channel them and you're bringing them out. In order for something new to be created on this planet, you have to be able to embody something new. You have to be able to embody the vibration that hasn't existed here before. So I just feel it's so amazing that with visionary sessions, our beautiful speeches by Jeff and Kelly really empowered me and brought me into that space where what I really wanted to say to the world is now possible. Because when we're talking about the new structures and new strategies, and then we're talking about the vision, after Kelly's talk last week, there was a question in the air. Like, but how do I bring that vision forward? How do I create it really? Like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? What do I say? What do I, you know? But this is what came through. I'm an energetic embodiment of benevolent future for all. So this is so simple. I was so happy when when I wrote that, because I was like, oh my God, you know, you're bringing the energy of that future vision into your body and you become it. You start being a magnet that attracts all the beings and events and circumstances and exchanges that will facilitate that realization. So the role of a leader is to incorporate everyone's contributions. Remember, universes of contributions to the energetic vision as we all share it, expand it, and evolve with it. Thank you.